We're starting. Nope, I don't want a green screen. Sorry, I'm trying to. God damn it. Stop. I'm trying to get all of this stuff. Oh, okay. All right. Well, is that what we're going to do? No. I was trying to change the orientation. Nope, that's still green screen, Julie. No. Swear, any moment now I'm going to get the new thing. As it is, we're fine. We're going to go just like this. That's good. Okay. So we have a new plant for today. And since I don't have, hi Renee. Hey, give me a call, Renee, after this. I was thinking about you this morning. Okay, so our tea today, I'm going to try to avoid writing on the board because I don't have the new phone. Renee is going to yell at me for not getting an Android phone quicker. And she's going to go, Neener, told you so. There you go. This
is it mimosa?
It is a mimosa. Well, it's called mimosa. I love that you were able to identify it from the leaf. What made you think mimosa? I'm going to hold up the leaf so that y'all can see what she was talking about.
Yeah, just the way it looks.
Just the way it looks, yeah.
I went to the Huntington Library and they have mimosa plants there, and you can you touch them and they go like this.
Yeah, so this is one of the things, sensitive plants, exactly, yes. So mimosas have these leaves. So this is called a bipinnate leaf structure. So a pinnate leaf structure, if we have a leaf that just looks like this here, like that one, hold it up so you can see. So you can see that there is a stem, a little a stem along the midleaf, and then we have these little leaflets. These are not leaves; these are leaflets. This is the leaf right here. So it's very deeply divided and has these little leaflets all along the central sort of pin. Right? Think of it as a pin, a long straight. So this is called pinnate, Pinnate. This is a bipinnate leaf because not only does it have the pinnate structure here on the leaflets, it also has the pinnate structure here. See how they're also that same, here's the central pin, and then we have those leaflets here. This is actually the leaf, right? So this is a bipinnate leaf structure. And this is the type of leaf structure that we see, as you said, as in mimosa. Now, with a true mimosa, they are, as you said, sensitive plants. So this leaf, when they are touched, it'll close, just like this. They close up because they're sensitive and responsive to touch. So good morning, a true mimosa is a sensitive plant. That's absolutely right, and it will touch. This did not close with touch. This closed because I plucked it. This closed. Was open, and I was going to grab one right before class so that we could see it open. But I wanted you to see that they do also close just when they're harvested. And just because it's closed doesn't mean that it is a true mimosa. Hi, I'll pour y'all tea. So I'm going to pass this around so you can look at this leaf structure. So this is it's called mimosa, oftentimes called mimosa, but a true mimosa has a very different chemistry than this, and this is not a true mimosa. So plants evolved to detect when animals are attempting to eat it and closes up as a defense. Certainly some type of a defense like that, yes. And they're really cool to see because as soon as you touch them, they just go like that. You can see it's really, really wonderful. This one, though, didn't do that. Yeah, plants are so cool. This is one of those defenses. Here, let me pour tea for folks, and then we'll get back to drinking. So this is not a mimosa. Mimosas are from the genus Mimosa, and this is not from the genus Mimosa, but it has the common name Mimosa. So here again, we see the problems with common names is that the common name Mimosa and also what the leaf looks like makes people think, well, this is a mimosa. You're calling it a mimosa. It looks like a mimosa, must be a mimosa. Nope, it's not.
So wait, what is the scientific name of this
I
plant?
will write that down.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So
So
it's not
this,
mimosa, but it's called mimosa.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's not a mimosa, but it's called, oh, like pineapple. Yeah. It's not an apple. Yeah, because common names will mess you up. Sagebrush isn't a sage, it's an artemisia, right? Common names will quite often lead you down that track because they became common names because someone said, I don't know what that plant is, but it sure looks like a mimosa, doesn't it? So we're going to call it mimosa. There are, and one of the reasons why I'm kind of pushing that home is because there is a mimosa, a couple of different mimosas that are mildly psychoactive, and people are really interested in playing with them because they are psychoactive, and because this plant has an effect on the emotions and on psychological states. And so there's a lot of conflating of the two because both of them work on neurology, both of them work on emotional states, but they are very, very different. Hi, Myra. Yeah, I know, it's so cool. Plants are awesome. They're wonderful. That's why we're all here, because we all know plants are awesome. All right, so folks online, sorry about the backwards writing. I promise very soon I will have a camera that works for you. I'm so tired of doing all of the camera crap. So y'all, Terry, hi Terry. What are you doing in Maine? Don't you live in like North Carolina? What are you doing in Maine? So anyway, sorry about the backward stuff. This will just increase your, Leonardo da Vinci wrote many of his notes backwards to stop people from being able to read them. So folks online, you can like develop that elasticity, that fluidity of brain function, and engage with your inner Leonardo. Sun is moving. You're wrangling toddler. Oh, toddler, you get to wrangle toddler. I don't know why I'm unable to say the word toddler. I envy you. All right, Albizia is the genus here. So it's not a mimosa, it's an Albizia. Julibrissin. Now, so one of the common names is mimosa. We are drinking the bark. So this is a plant that provides two different forms. We have the flower and we have the bark. The other common name, because this is a plant from Chinese herbalism, so the most common name is going to be the pinyin name. Pinyin is the TCM name. And so the pinyin name for this plant, forgive my pronunciation, A1P. P is the cortex or bark. Okay? And this literally translates to collective happiness bark. Bark for the happiness of the collective. And then there's also Heiwan Wa, which is the flower. So there's two different forms of the plant that are used. We're drinking the bark right now.
What is the scientific name of the true mimosa?
Oh, true mimosa is mimosa. Mimosa is the genus.
Okay.
Yeah, and there are various different species within that genus, but true mimosas are in the genus Mimosa.
And that's the one that has the more psychoactive.
That's right.
And it has those crazy flowers, right?
Right. Yeah.
And this one, does this one have?
This does have crazy flowers.
Flower also?
The flowers of Albizia are pink.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they're bright pink. Yeah, wildflowers, and they're in the family here is the Fabaceae family. And you do often see this type of leaf structure, the Pinnate leaf structure you often see in the Fabaceae family. What is this family?
Beans, right?
Beans, that's right. Yeah, beans, like fava beans. Yeah. So this is the bean family, and so we do, yeah, often see that in there. So Fabaceae family. This does make a pea, a seed pod. Those seed pods have compounds that are neurotoxic. So we don't, even though it is in the bean family, sometimes people are like, it's a bean, I'll eat the beans. Don't eat the beans. It's not a good plant to eat the beans with. All right, so let's taste it. What do you think about the taste of collective happiness bark? Inverted video, I know, Marcus, I'm sorry. You can read backwards. See, Marcus, you are as smart as Leonardo da Vinci, which I knew already. I promise, Marcus, I will get a new camera soon. Or maybe it's just that aren't you in the southern hemisphere? So I think because you're in the southern hemisphere, it's like flipped over the other way.
Blaming them.
Yeah, I'm blaming them, Marcus. It's just it's your problem. It's Puerto Rico. Yeah. So what do you think about the taste?
It tastes a little starchy.
Tastes a little starchy.
It's interesting. It's kind of like making me salivate a lot.
But
also it feels astringent. Yeah. Like at the end. Kind of weird.
Yeah.
It is weird. Does it have like a numbing? No?
There's a little bit of some acridity in the bark.
It reminds me of Szechuan peppercorn.
Exactly. Ooh, 10 points to you. Yes, exactly. Yes, Szechuan peppercorns. So it doesn't have the same chemistry, but it has the same energetic pattern, and it has the same, we call it a flavor, but it's more a mouthfeel. And I want you to be able to target on that. So awesome that you did. So that mouthfeel, think of Szechuan peppercorns, for those of you who didn't hear it. Szechuan peppercorns, black pepper, right? So acridity is that kind of tingling, numbness. You oftentimes have an increase in saliva because the acrid mouthfeel is an energetic pattern for release of tension, right? Generally, the antispasmodic herbs are acrid. That acridity makes tissues can't stay tight and tense in the face of acridity. Acridity makes movement, it opens, it moves energy, it moves fluids like Szechuan peppercorns do, right? You cannot stop the saliva that comes from isobutylamides, right? Spilanthes. You just can't stop that. It opens up the tissues, it moves fluids through. And likewise, Spilanthes, prickly ash, Szechuan peppercorns, kava kava, lobelia, black pepper, cramp bark, even valerian, things like valerian. All of these are acrid plants, and they are oh, you're in the Caribbean. Okay. Because, yeah, I have the geographical knowledge of a North American, so I don't even know what countries are in the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere. We need a better educational system here. Right? So that acridity is one of the things. So it has some complex chemistry. We have that starchiness that we often find in beany kind of plants. It sort of tastes almost like a beany plant. It tastes like a food plant, right? So it has that starchy, sweet, earthy. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So it is considered to be a sweet plant, a sweet flavor, right? In the way that we think of sweetness in a plant and not a sweetness in food, right? So it's sweet and starchy, but has that acridity. So that helps with release. And we do see this plant, specifically the bark, is not only all it's used for collective happiness, right? This is a plant that is quite often used for anxiety, for depression, for low spirits. It's a plant that calms the heart and uplifts the spirit. That's the classification of herbs in Chinese herbalism in the Chinese Materia Medica. This is a plant that calms the heart and lifts the spirit. So it truly is a plant that is used for happiness. And it is really effective for that. So bad temper, irritability, anxiety, depression, sadness, it just has that lifting effect. But the bark specifically also has a really effective pain relieving effect. And I think a lot of that has to do with this acridity, right? In Chinese herbalism, pain is often associated with stagnation, with a lack of blood flow, a lack of movement, right? And so the things that are used as pain relievers in Chinese herbalism are often plants that are blood movers. They invigorate and move the blood, breaking up stagnation, allowing for free flow of fluids in the body and flow of energy in the body. And those are often plants that have that acridity, right? Because the chemistry of acridity is chemistry of flow in the body. You can't keep tight, constricted tissues when there is flow, right? So the bark specifically is also used both internally and topically for pain, for inflammation in the tissues. Terry says, I've used it for grief. Yes, it's one of my favorite things for grief. And for grief, I do like to use the flowers. So the flowers are a little bit different. Terry, do you use the bark or the grief for the flowers? One of the nuances, both of them are used for anxiety and depression, right? Both of them are for lifting the spirits and for calming the heart, calming disturbed Shen in Chinese herbalism. So Shen is the heart energy, right? The emotional heart, the spiritual heart. So when that is disturbed, we're sad, we're angry, we're nervous, we just have emotional trauma in our heart. So it's so helpful for calming and soothing that. I find the bark to be, as we generally see, barks to be more grounding, right? And the flowers have a little bit more of chemistry of terpenes, aromatic compounds. They're light little puffy pink fluffy things. They are totally beings of the air. When you see the flowers, they're little fairy flowers. They're just beings of the air. And so the energy of the flowers is generally an uplifting energy. The energy of the bark generally tends to be a little bit more grounding, more stabilizing. So both of them are lifting to the spirit, but with that nuance that helps you to kind of choose which one you want to use. Terry says, I've used both depending on what I have available. I harvest from a friend's tree. This is one of the things to remember about this plant. And one of the things I think that makes it so valuable is not only is this a plant that is so helpful for people and people just love using it, it is also really invasive in areas where it is introduced. It is really invasive. It's a very common landscaping tree. People plant it all over the place, but it will just spread and spread and spread. Luckily, the bark is or the wood is pretty strong, so it's a pretty decent building wood, which is nice. And also, the bark and the flowers are really, really good medicine. And so we can use this abundant plant for really, really great medicine.
With the pain relieving aspect of it, is there a specific mechanism in the plant that's pain relieving, or just that it's blood moving?
I think primarily that it is blood moving. I can't see any other specific chemistry or actions that would contribute to that. That being said, I'm not a Chinese herbalist, and so there's nuance there that's not familiar to me because that's not my training. But I've used it quite a lot because I'm often depressed and always in pain. It's like this plant was made for me. Yeah, I found it to be really helpful as an adjunct. Marcus says it's weird that it's a tropical tree and it's not found in Puerto Rico. You just ordered seeds right now. I'm really amazed with all of the things that grow down there, Marcus, that you don't have this one. I know it's really considered to be problematic in Hawaii and in other tropical places and all over North America. I mean, even here in Southern California, we see there's a huge amount of it in Orange County. Again, where it's been introduced as a landscaping plant. So the flowers, so the bark consider for that more stabilizing grounding quality, and also for that secondary characteristic of having that blood moving, pain relieving effect. The flowers have that uplifting quality to them, which makes them really beneficial. And one of the things that I really love about the flowers is that they are particularly beneficial for, and they're traditionally used for things like insomnia and poor memory and irritability, secondary to what is termed in the Chinese materia medica to constrained emotions. So constrained emotions, we're dealing with emotional stuff, right? Trauma, grief, sorrow, sadness, loss, all of the emotional stuff that's so much around us. And that we have secondary effects of insomnia. We're not able to sleep, and it's not that the insomnia is because of a hormonal issue or because of, well, possibly because of pain, inflammation, but primarily because of those emotions, those constrained emotions, right? Memory will quite often, if you're dealing with a lot of emotional stuff, you're dealing with a lot of pain, you're dealing with um, um, insomnia, all of these things that quite often come along with when you're going through a lot of change and a lot of emotion. You can have all of these other secondary effects. And mimosa is really, really lovely for just helping to balance and calm all of that. The taste generally tends to be very neutral. The energetics generally tend to be very neutral, as we can feel, right? It doesn't have a really specific cooling effect. It doesn't have a really specific heating effect. It doesn't have a really specific, now it has a relaxant effect primarily in the bark, again, not so much in the flowers. So the flowers have a little bit more of that energetic neutrality. But when, I don't know, most people are going to find that acrid quality, that release quality to feel really good and really beneficial, just because most people, particularly in our dominant culture, particularly right now, are just walking around like this. And we need things that help us to remember to unclench the sphincters and relax the muscles, right? And that's the chemistry of acridity does that. That is the chemical message that it's sending to the body as that movement goes through. It says, unclench the sphincters, relax the muscles, right? Move energy through. Whether you like to or not, whether you're being mindful about it or not, the chemistry is going to be doing that. And that's why it's so, so beneficial. May, in 10 years, you'll be responsible for a new local ecological disaster. Yeah, we'll be able to point to the day when I taught a class and Marcus bought seeds to the destruction of the Puerto Rican ecology. At least we won't be alone, Marcus. And it will be very pretty, so you will have destroyed the ecology of your island, but it'll be pretty as it goes to hell. I don't mind giving Marcus a hard time. He has Damiana that grows there. He has so many amazing plants that grow there in Puerto Rico. I'm always jealous. So. Let's see. Oh, so those qualities of the flowers. So in the nuanced use of the flower, the other thing that I love about that. So insomnia, poor memory, chronic pain, irritability due to constrained emotions, especially when it's accompanied by epigastric pain, right? Pain in the gut, right? When you feel that kind of that emotional, the emotional trauma just leads to, oh my God, I just feel that right here, right? Or pressure in the chest, pressure and tightness in the chest. And here we can often remember that, particularly in Chinese herbalism, but we see this overlap, we often find that grief tends to reside in the lungs, in the chest, in the breath, right? So here we have kind of emotional trauma here, grief being held here. For different people, those are kind of move around here. But paying attention to where that grief is held, where that pain is held, and seeing if this is the traditional way of using the plant, is this how your body responds to it and feels about it? Yeah. So that is mimosa. So for the next couple of classes, we will do some formulation with mimosa. and take the chemistry of it and use the bark and kind of go where we can go with that and take that into a deeper pain relieving effect. What happens when we combine that bark and those qualities of moving stuck energy and while also relieving depression. We know that anxiety and depression can certainly make us much more sensitive to pain. And so I think there's also a duality there that we have to recognize as well in acknowledging how Albizia works with pain, right? Definitely, so often, just kind of relieving the anxiety around pain can go a long ways towards bringing the pain management down, so that we don't actually have to have anything that is anodynal that is relieving the pain, because now we can manage that, right? So that complexity of chemistry, complexity of action on the body makes sense to me. So we'll look at that with the bark, and then also work with the flowers and have a lot of fun playing with those flowers, because that uplifting, lively, kind of moving energy is really fun and delightful to play with. And it is a plant that invites play. We don't have any of the flowers. I actually drove by this weekend to see if any of the flowers were blooming in Orange County, where I know there's a lot of it there. There's none. Um, but hopefully sometime soon, as soon as the flowers are available, I'll bring them in to show y'all, because they're Dr. Seuss flowers. They are truffula trees. They are truffula tree flowers is completely what they look like if you're trying to envision them. So we will play with those, but generally they come out much later in the spring into the early summer. But are you looking them up? Because I always forget about that. Yes, absolutely. That is the other nice thing, is you can just look them up online, because we have all of the world's information at our fingertips. So Albizia julibrissin flowers, yeah, they're super helpful.
They're like fluffy.
They're just fluffy, yes. Now, one of the things, yeah, yeah. One of the things about those flowers that you do want to be aware of if you harvest them for medicine is that you have all of those tiny little nooks and crannies in there for all sorts of interesting insects to hang around in. And this is a nectar-bearing flower, and it's an aromatic flower, so it's going to be drawing pollinators to it. So when you harvest the flowers for medicine making, there's a lot of extra protein there. You want to be really mindful. Harvesting them right as they open when they're young is a way of minimizing extra protein. If they've been around for a long time, that's a lot more time for insects to be able to get in there and make use of the plant. The other thing that I like to do when I'm harvesting any kind of flowers that generally tend to have some pest fruits, lots of things are like this. If I harvest when it's bright and sunny outside, I found that animals often do not like bright light. And so if you put a white sheet down on the ground, white sheet out in the sun, and then lay your harvest there, the white sheet reflects light backwards, and it reflects light also underneath the leaf. So it's just kind of lighting everything up. And I'll put things out and leave it for about half an hour and tell all of the insects in there, y'all have half an hour to go find somewhere else to be, because I don't want you to be in my tincture. I really, really don't want you to be in there. So both of us, let's just kind of agree, y'all find somewhere else. And it really is a very effective way of reducing the protein content of your harvest. Doesn't go down to zero, but it really, really reduces it. So try that. Otherwise, you are going to just have a tremendous amount of protein in your tincture.
What about the bark? What's the best way to harvest?
So the bark peels very easily from the tree itself. Now, you want to be really careful anytime you're harvesting from a tree. There's a tree, because maybe you don't know what a tree looks like. So what I like to do is get secondary or tertiary branches. right? The branches that are kind of hanging out somewhere where they're going to be problematic, branches that are going to be snipped away anyway. If you know someone who has a tree, it's a pretty fast growing tree, especially in spring into summer. Maybe if you know an arborist around, you can kind of talk to them. If they harvest these trees, if they are cutting back these trees, all of these branches will be cut off, and that's where you can get the medicine from. So you do not want to harvest bark from um, the central trunk of the tree. Um, Primarily because this is where nutrients are being brought up, right? This is where sap is taken up and nutrients are delivered in through the tree. If you take bark from here, the place where you took the bark, you will no longer be able to move nutrients, resources, the plant, the tree will not be able to move resources through this area where you took the bark. If you are particularly unthinking and you strip the bark this way, right? And you take the bark like a belt all the way around the tree, you have killed that tree. This is called girdling the tree because it's like a girdle going all the way around. And if you girdle the tree, there's no way that that tree can get any resources into the rest of it. It's a way to kill the tree. So it is far better to take the branches here. So cut off the branches. The bark peels very easily from the inner from the core. So cut branches, slice. I'll take a knife and just slice along the bark, and then yeah, you just peel it back. It's really, really easy, and that's what you use. Yeah. The other benefit of branches is that it is the inner bark that's used, and in the older woody portions, the outer bark tends to be thicker, and outer bark is largely protective. It doesn't have a lot of nutrients in it, right? It is that inner bark where all of this flow goes. That's where the chemistry is. But yeah, with the small enough branches, I don't distinguish between outer and inner bark because the distinction is just so minimal. But when it's something like this, say someone cut down a tree, they're going to be like, awesome, there's all sorts of good medicine there. So then you can certainly go in and take all of that. You would want to scrape the inner bark from that outer bark because then you would have enough of that outer bark that it would significantly weaken the chemistry because it's just, yeah, it's diluted. Silver Sage, hi, good morning. I'm so glad you caught us live too. Yay, we are drinking Albizia tea. So, any questions about Albizia?
Does it taste different from the true mimosa, or is it similar?
I've not used the true mimosa that much, so I don't know. Any of you used mimosas? Yeah, I don't know. I would imagine the true mimosas, there's some alkaloid chemistry that makes them psychoactive, and alkaloids are oftentimes quite bitter. So I would guess maybe the flavor is going to be significant, not nearly as neutral. This is so neutral, right? So that says to me that it is a lot of that chemistry. Well, it's polysaccharides, right? There's a lot of polysaccharide chemistry there. You can tell organoleptic testing. And polysaccharides are food, right? It's telling us it's food because it is largely food. And I'm guessing, yeah, the mimosas would not tell you quite as much that they were food. Go ahead, eat as much as you like of me. Yeah, have a big old pot. It's probably not what those plants are going to be telling you. Although plants are tricksters, and sometimes they would. Sometimes they'll say, yeah, go ahead, drink a whole pot of me and see what happens. But maybe don't drive anywhere for a couple of days, right? So, so there we go. There is Heiwan Bi, Heiwan Wa. We'll play with Heiwan Wa with upcoming classes. You can also taste I just didn't feel like making you the flower tea this morning. But we'll work with the flower and the bark in the next couple of weeks and play around with that chemistry. All right. So folks online, I will see you later. Go try some Albizia. It's a little bit of a challenge to find. Albizia around right now. A lot of people are using. A lot of people are wanting it. A lot of people are not feeling the happiness and are wanting something to assist with happiness. Um, so we get it. We have a pretty good supplier from Northern California. New Herbs in San Leandro is a really good supplier for folks who are wanting to find a source. They have organic mimosa bark and flower, and many places don't have it. Terry, so nice to catch you. I hope to see you in person. It's been years, and I miss my herbal community, but very nice to see y'all. Renee, oh cool, yeah, come by. Okay, Renee, I will see you later. Mwah. Love you all. I will see you next week. Stop by next week, and we'll talk about Albizia bark for pain relief. Is what we'll go into.